Welcome. Welcome out there in wonderful land. Welcome to the Law, Your Money and You. I'm Roberta Sapphire, an attorney in Sharon, Massachusetts, United States of America.
And welcome, I'm Camille Barron, a healthcare advisor and financial coordinator, also here in Sharon, Mass, New England, United States, and world, globe. So, Roberta, ever since the pandemic came around, we've been talking to a lot of young people about what life has been like for them in the pandemic. And today we have a lovely young lady who's going to share with us what her experiences have been. And in this case, a young lady who lives in two different cultures.
Yeah, she's from Brazil. Very nice introduction. The reason why Camille does the introductions is because she does a much better job than I do. For everybody who asks out there. And Lilliana, we were so lucky, a brief introduction. We were so lucky when the pandemic hit because my niece, Rachel, who is so brilliant and so multicultural in her language and everything, decided to move to Brazil, which is her husband's homeland. And these kids, the two of them have grown up, but this is fascinating for our guests to get another view of a different culture and different things that are going on outside of their own little shelter box, so to speak. So anyway, with that, we are welcoming you, Lilliana, and Lilliana got this long name, which she's going to say what it is, and she's going to introduce herself. Go for it, Lilliana, from Brazil.
I'm Lilliana Cooper Waterman de Alencar. Lilliana is a Spanish name, which is my first name. Cooper is my middle name. I was named after Vera Cooper Rubin. Cooper is her maiden name. She's the scientist that discovered black matter. Waterman is my mother's name. It is a Jewish name. And Alencar is my Brazilian name, which is a Novo Cristão name, which means new Christian.
That's interesting. I have to tell you something, which I don't know if your mother knows or you know, but Waterman really is an English name. They must have somehow along the way shortened it from somewhere, but I think we still have relatives in England if you want to go visit there. But somehow or other, my mother, which originally was a Smith, I'm a Waterman. My mother, her family came from Russia, and my father's, I think my father was born here, and they originally, what do you call that? There's people here. There's people here, you know, but they originally came. But that's nice. I never thought of it as a Jewish name because I don't know any other Jewish. Maybe I don't know any Jewish people, but that's funny. Anyway, so what else do you have to say that I can correct? Should we start all over? What do you think? Or let it keep going?
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. How about you, Lilliana? You okay, honey?
I'm good.
She's a brilliant girl. You thought her brother was brilliant. This girl you got to watch out for because she takes jujitsu in Brazil. Go ahead. Let's hear.
Should we tell who her brother is?
Her brother is Avi
Sagan.
Alencar. What's his name?
In Waterman de Alencar.
Avi's self-taught and everything, but this show is for Lilliana because she's got so much to tell, and she is, like you said in the beginning, Camille, just growing. She's a lovely young lady. Are you 14 now?
14, yes.
Oh, you're
13?
13? Are you're going to be 14 in November?
I'm turning 15 this year.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
you're 14.
Yeah, 15.
During the pandemic, my bat mitzvah was canceled. So now this year I am combining my Latin heritage with my Jewish heritage and having a bat kinses.
What do they call it? A butt what?
Bat kinses, bat mitzvah kinses.
Oh, for the Quinta, yeah, the Spanish have the Quinta celebration. We did a lot, and that's like almost like a wedding. They dress in costumes and everything. So you're doing a double. Oh, you lucky. You got the best of both worlds, huh? We're gonna have to visit her after that, because that is really, I know when they do them here, they're almost like weddings. But so go ahead. So you're doing that, which is nice. And
Theme is a masquerade ball.
Masquerade, wow. We won't be able to recognize anybody. Maybe even you.
so you
It's
do,
the theme was inspired on a road trip I went on with my parents last week. We went to this town called Nova Venezia, which is this town in my state, which means New Venice. It was colonized by Italian people, and it was their mini carnival last week. So we went there and they had these amazing costumes, and we were like, these are so pretty. And I got myself a mask with like feathers and flowers sticking out. And eventually I just looked at my mom and was like, why don't we have a masquerade party for my birthday? So that's what we're gonna do.
Wow.
and the parents are so innovative. Her father's a sculptor. The mother is just overall brilliant. In fact, wasn't she the mayor in Florida?
Yes, funny story about that, actually. The last time I
Right
was last year, and I showed up in the exact city that she was the mayor of, wearing the shirt for her candidacy. Like,
Oh, that's funny.
yeah, and I didn't even notice.
Yes, so right now, what are you up to? Are you in school right now?
Sorry.
This is my last week before winter break.
Winter break. Mhm.
So after today, I have 2 more days of school before I'm on break
For how long?
for 2 weeks.
2
Why
weeks.
is it winter there? What is the temperature?
So I don't know the exact temperature today, but the reason why it's winter here and summer there is because we're on opposite sides of the equator. And whenever something's north or for us in South America, whenever something's north, it's hotter. And how in North America, whenever something's south, it's hotter because it's touching the equator. But since the equator is also, I don't know how to say it right, I'm sorry. So it's slightly tilted closer to the sun. So when it's tilted this way, the North America is summertime, but it's colder down here because it's farther away from the sun. So it becomes winter for us. I don't know if I explained it the right way. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
sure. And so approximately average temperature at this time of the year, what would you say?
18 degrees
Like our
in
winters
Really?
northwest?
Well, it's so sunny. Do you get snow there?
in my state, yes, there is snow depending on the city. In fact, I think it was this week, it was hailing.
Mhm.
Really?
Interesting. So tell us about your school. What are you studying and what's it like?
I go to a local private school, just a few streets away from my house. The name of the school is Expresión, which means expression. It's a small school. It has about 300 students. I'm in the biggest class of the school, and it only has 28 students, which is a lot about how big the school is. It's really cool. We have 12 different, it's a middle school, but it's not the same type of middle school that they have in the US. Because in middle schools, you already start picking out what classes you have different schedules, you have bigger lockers. At my school, the schedule is already picked out by the teachers, and everyone has to take the same classes at the same time. And instead of you going to different classrooms, the teachers come to your classroom.
Mhm.
So I have 12 different classes I take throughout the week. I have Spanish, English, Portuguese, geography, biology, physics, math, philosophy, which is an interesting class. And a few others. I think that's pretty much it.
And do you have homework for each of these classes?
Huh?
You have homework for each of these classes? I
single
mean,
class.
that's a lot, isn't it? 12?
A lot of homework. And depending on what class it is, you have more of them throughout the week. Like we have one English class every day of the week, but we only have one geography class throughout the week, but it's a double class, so you have twice as much time in the class. And you only have 2 Spanish classes, and then we have about 7 math classes.
You have a lot of books for these? Is there a book for every?
It depends, because most of our subjects are on the same one big green book that has chapters for each of the different subjects. And then we have 3 other smaller books. One is a philosophy book, a Spanish book, and a writing book. And then we have a one from a completely different company, which is our English books called Oxford. And apparently,
How long have you lived in Brazil, Lily?
I've lived here since I was in the 1st grade, and now I'm in the 8th.
It's a good thing. How about the people around you? Are they all from Brazil? What would they be called? Portuguese? What are
Brazilian.
they called? They're called Brazilian,
Yes.
but they speak Portuguese.
Yes.
I don't think there's not, is there a language called Brazilian or is it Portuguese? Isn't
It's called Portuguese.
that interesting? That's fascinating. How about Spanish? Do
But it
people
is different. It's like English and American English.
Mm.
Oh,
Like slightly more sophisticated, slightly harder to understand. The other one's just like, you know.
So when they teach you English in Brazil, are they teaching you the King's English, so the Queen's English, or they
So,
teach you American
It
English?
depends on the school, because my last school I was learning British English, and then like the next year at the same school we were using books from Australia, but that's still British English, which is like a different accent. And now I'm at this school, which we are learning American English, but what Brazilians think American English is, which is interesting. I once had my teacher tell me that an athlete's not an athlete, it's a player.
Oh, so that they have the names. But you know something, you can go, in the United States, you can go from one town to the other and the dialects change.
Yeah, true.
Like pop, they call soda is soda. Some places it's pop, other
Yeah.
places it's tonic.
The state I live in is known as the most nationwide like accent. Everyone can understand the accent of the people that are from here, but it does change from every single state. Like there are states that the R is stronger, some where they roll the R a little bit more, some where they just speak a lot faster or a lot slower, or like a little more like her, you know, like it depends on your state. It really does.
And how about the clothes? Is it the same clothes that they wear in the United States, like for the teenagers anyway? Anybody?
So the clothes that we wear now, I like to say it is similar because it is the same like modern thing. But in Brazil, it is a lot more free and a lot hotter here. So people tend to wear a lot shorter clothes and think it's like fashionable or appropriate. So of most of the clothes like I would wear here on an everyday basis, which are completely normal, would be considered outrageous in the US.
Oh, is that
Like,
right?
I don't know, you should see what some of these
adults
people
wear,
wear.
lace bras in public at fancy restaurants. It's interesting, it really is. And but then there's also the traditional clothes, and depending on your state and your city or the region of the country you live in, the traditional clothes are a lot different. And what I like to do is when I travel throughout the country, I like collecting different traditional clothes. But my favorite traditional clothes that they have are the nordestino clothes, which are from the area that my dad was born.
What are those clothes like?
Nordestino? How's that word?
Traditional northeastern clothes from.
Oh, isn't that funny? Yeah, and how is it growing up with these two different cultures?
It's interesting. Like today I got home a little earlier from school and I walked in the house and CNN was playing. And I just heard that this Brazilian racer was in the US and he said the N-word and he was considered racist,
Mm.
which is normal in America because the N-word is a very racist thing to say. But in Brazil, racist, no, not racist. The N-word is a term of endearment.
No kidding.
Really?
It means friend. It means friend. People sometimes name their dog the N-word. The N-word is on one of the state flags. My friends call me the N-word. It's
Sometimes when you travel from one country to another, what is perfectly acceptable here, for instance, you would be insulting someone if you went to a
exactly.
different
'Cause the
country.
man said for example, the race car driver said on news that he was sorry, but he was not being racist, and he did not see how that could possibly even be racist. Because it makes no sense. Because like, yes, there are people that use it in the more racist term here, because that was also a term used during slavery, but it doesn't really mean that in common, like the modern language that we use nowadays. I have a friend who is Black, and she says she actually loves it when people call her the N-word because she thinks it's really cute,
Mm.
which
Mhm.
is completely different. Because if she was American and someone called her the N-word, she would have felt completely discriminated against.
Oh, of course.
Speaking of
Interesting.
discrimination, how about the Jewish people? How are they over there?
Well, that's they're not really known here. Like whenever I go to a new school and someone finds out I'm Jewish, it's like, whoa, they see Bigfoot. It's like they knew they exist, but they didn't know they were real, you know? So, but it does kind of end up adding a little bit to the anti-Semitism. Not the whole country is bad, of course. There are some people who I've met who found out I was Jewish and they were like, wow, that's incredible. Tell me about the culture. What do you guys believe in? I'm curious. I've never heard of it. Please explain, you know? There are people who when I tell my friends, oh, I can't hang out Saturday morning because I have Jew school. They're like, that's what I call it. They're like, well, what do you do there? What do you learn? How do you pray? You know, it's very interesting. Some people are very open to learning about it, and other people cross obstacles on my stuff at school.
Jew school. I never heard that one before. There is in the western part of Florida. They have Jewfish, I heard, and that's real.
Wow.
Jewfish. Have you heard of that one?
Never. No.
But tell us about too, like, because your brother's very artistic, but you are also. Do you have any samples of what you have done?
Well, I do have paint on my hand now, and this is something like it's not super artistic, but this is something that I did with my friends today. We
That's
painted,
not me.
not very artistic, but it's like right next to me. It's all of our thumbnails. We gave it to my mom, but there is other paintings here in my mom's office. Like, Mom, can you pass me the flower one? This one is something I did.
Oh, is that
That's pretty.
Isn't that
Yeah.
nice?
Yes.
I'm more into drawing. I first really got into drawing when I was and painting with flowers and plants and other stuff like that. And I can draw some types of animals, and I'm trying to get better at drawing humans. But drawing humans is really hard because everybody is unique and different in ways. And no matter how I draw a body, if it's not a female body from behind or like a specific part of the body in itself, it doesn't come out realistic. So I'm really
You know something? That's an art in and of itself because you can make animated figures. You know, and that's really very artistic to do animation. They got the animation movies. That's fantastic that you have that talent.
But since I'm not yet at a point where I can draw very realistic people very realistically, I'm using my creativity and kind of using that part into trying to make people creepy or weird. And so like I draw these really creepy and interesting people, and then people are like, who is that? I'm like, I don't know, he lives in my brain. And then they
That is funny. Tell us about your jujitsu, because that's another thing. How into that are you?
Well, I've been doing it for 1 year and a month now. I have a ceremony, a jujitsu ceremony, this Saturday. It was supposed to be last Saturday, but it was canceled and rescheduled for this one. So jujitsu, it's like most martial arts, you have multiple different color belts, but instead of most of them where you like get to a point where they're like, oh yeah, you can switch a belt, like or on your birthday or after a year or after 6 months or 3 months, we actually start collecting little pieces of kind of like tape on this specific part of your belt. And once you have 4 or 3, depending on the person, you switch to the next belt. And I'm a white belt with 3 graus because I've only been doing it for a year. And I have a ceremony tomorrow. So, and the ceremony is when you either get a new belt or get a new like piece of tape.
And how is jujitsu different for those who are not familiar? Different from, say, karate and some of the other martial arts?
So most martial arts are all the same. That you fight, but their techniques are differently. Like in karate, it's more punching and kicking.
Yes.
And judo, it's like really up close, like really like use your hand, your back, your shoulder. And then like wrestling, you use your body weight and slam the person on the floor and stuff like that. Jiu-jitsu is the only one though where you are not like you're not dead in the game when you hit the floor, because if in every other one it ends when you hit the floor, right? 1, 2, 3, you're out. But in jiu-jitsu it starts when you hit the floor. So in a competition you would get the person on the floor and then the thing would fight. You probably like go a point to the person who got the person on the floor in the first place though. And then in training, you usually already start on the floor. So it's more of like, and it's also martial arts where the stronger person doesn't necessarily win, like in all the other ones. It's the person who's smarter and the one who has more technique. Of course, the weight and the strength does play a really big part, but it gives we like to say that it gives an opportunity to the little man to fight back. Because it's a martial arts where you have to use your brain.
And the technique itself, you said it's not like some of the others like karate or the others. How does it differ if we were watching, say, a match? What would we see?
Well, it's because, like I said, that's like you're standing up and now you're on the ground, which is already considered more vulnerable. And you have to use your brain more. It's like, imagine you get someone who only like draws to paint. Usually he would stop with the shading, but now he has to erase it all over again and now build a shading with a bunch of colors when he's only used to black and white and gray. So it's like when most people, when they get on the floor, that's it. Us, when we get on the floor, we're like, how can I get you down here with me? Or how can I get back up and then push you down, you know? And like, so you learn, and like most people who don't do like martial arts or anything, if you were going to defend yourself, you would probably choke someone like this or like that, which is like what we know is normal, but like we would know that this isn't good because first of all, it could hurt yourself and it could hurt the person a lot more. So you learn multiple different ways on how to finish someone and at what point you need to stop if you're only practicing with like a friend or something.
That's fascinating, but you know, there's one more thing I want to get through. We're almost up, but this young lady also does horseback riding. Tell us about the horseback riding. Is it different over there than the opportunities here for horseback riding? Is it more so?
Well, I don't know because I've never done horseback riding in the US. But I do know, depending on where you do class, depends a lot on what you're going to learn, because I do remember I've done horseback riding in a couple of different places where they're really teaching you to compete, how to be a jockey. And now I'm doing horseback riding in a place which is more like perfect your riding, perfect how you take care of the horse, enjoy yourself on the horse. You know, like it's more about building your relationship with the horse and knowing how to take care of yourself and take care of the horse than win, you know, which is.
Do they have two different types of riding there? Like here, there's the English saddle and the Western saddle.
Yes. So I don't know what the English and Western saddle are though, but I do know that there are different ways to do trot. There are different ways to gallop. There are different ways, different types of saddles. Like some people use a whole saddle. Some people just go on the back, you know.
Oh, fascinating. How long you been taking horseback riding?
I've been doing horseback riding since the 3rd grade, on and off, depending on what part of the city I've been living in. And now I do horseback riding on a place just down the street. And it's also the same street where I do horseback riding, all in the same area. My school's there.
Nice.
Horseback riding and jiu-jitsu is on the same street that I live on, which is great. I go to the beach on my horse a lot, which is amazing. I go up the dunes, up the mountains, and just ride on the beach. It's awesome.
Boy, sounds great, huh?
Yeah, it sure does.
How about beaches? Do you have beaches? You got beaches there.
I live on an island called the island of Santa Catarina. It's the name of the city I live in is Floripa, which 90% of the city is on the island and 10% is on the continent right next to it.
Uh-huh.
Is that like Florianopolis, or am I saying that wrong?
Surrounded by beach, and I live right next to one of the beaches, which is why I go horseback riding on the beach. We have
How
40.
how is it in the hurricane season? Do you get hit much by hurricanes?
So we do not get hit much by hurricanes, because it's kind of just like not really, it's out of the way. But we do have cyclones every once in a while, like once a year, like once every 2 years. It
Mhm.
had like, they get a little bit worse every time they happen, but they're very rare. They are so rare that people aren't even built, like the houses are built for that type of situation.
Mhm.
2020 was our last cyclone, and it was almost considered a 1st-degree hurricane. And that was enough to make the power go out in the whole, like in 97% of the state.
We only got about a minute left. Is there anything we missed? Music? Do you do any music?
I am learning how to play the guitar. I'm
Oh.
a huge rock and roll fan, so I have an electric guitar in my room. And as soon as I learn how to play the electric guitar, I'm going to start learning the violin.
Are you gonna come visit us in the United States soon?
I should be going next year in August, right? In August for Avi's statewide test.
Oh, isn't that nice?
April.
Camille, what do you think, Camille? I'm turning around. I think Jerry's here, but I don't know where he is.
How's our time? How are we doing for time?
It's just about wind up time. But
Okay,
I wanted to make sure that she got it all in. She's so lovely.
she
She's so
is.
lovely and
Yeah.
so grew up so nicely.
So-
There is just one thing I think you guys should know.
Okay.
Place is amazing, and I really do think you guys should come and visit. Like, it really is amazing. You could come for my birthday, you know?
There you go.
Thank you for the invitation.
Deeply considered, believe me, you're so precious. But you know, Zoom, oh, here we go. Here, just let Uncle Jerry say hello, which we usually doesn't. Yeah, sit down. He's the one,
Where's my
he's the
beautiful
one
niece?
making the noise.
I
But,
can't-
so we have
Can
to
you move
wrap
over
it
so I
now.
can
Yeah,
get in
we have to
to
wrap
greet
it
my
up.
beautiful niece
Yeah, but-
properly? Hi, darling. How you doing,
Just say
sweetheart?
hello.
I'm
Goodbye.
good, Jerry.
Gotta wrap now.
I love you.
Okay, just wrap.
Okay.
All right,
Oh.
okay.
Okay, go
Bye,
ahead,
sweetheart.
Camille, wrap it up. Thank you.
Liliana, it was wonderful to have you here today. We learned a lot, and you seem to be doing very well. I think you have a very bright future. To our viewers, if you'd like to know more about Liliana and wonderful things that she's doing and what it's like to live in 2 different cultures, please let us know. And if you have any other suggestions or ideas for the show, please let us hear from you, because remember, this is your show, the law, your money, and you.
And you. Thank you.